Rome, the eternal empire of gods and emperors. A civilization that conquered nations, built monuments, and shaped the world. But in the shadow of Mount Vesuvius, one city lived by a very different code. This was not a city of discipline or order. It was a city of pleasure, scandal, and lust. Pompeii. Here, desire was sacred. Frescoes of lovers covered walls, phallic symbols guarded doorways, brothels thrived openly in the heart of town. This wasn't hidden. It wasn't shameful. In Pompeii, lust wasn't sin, it was life. And when the firestorm came in 79 CE, it preserved every secret, every scandal, every forbidden act in stone and ash. What we dig up today is not just ruins, it is a city of lust frozen in time.
Part 1. Desire in the Streets. To walk the streets of Pompeii was to walk through a gallery of the human body. Erotic mosaics decorated taverns. Phallic charms hung at crossroads, painted on walls, carved in stone. Not hidden, not subtle, everywhere. Why? Because to the Pompeians, the phallus wasn't obscene. It was a symbol of fortune, fertility, and protection. A bakery might display a fresco of lovers, as if to say, "Here, bread is made with the blessing of lust." A tavern might have carvings of drinking and sex, promising both wine and pleasure inside. Even houses had frescoes that today would be considered pornography. But in Pompeii, they were art. Imagine a city where you could not escape lust. It was on every wall, in every symbol, woven into the daily rhythm of life. Rome built temples to show glory. Pompeii built them to celebrate desire. Part 2. The Business of Lust. Pompeii's brothels. But Pompeii's scandal was not only in its symbols, it was in its economy. At the heart of the city lay its most infamous building, the Lupanar. The name itself meant wolf's den, a place for prostitutes who were called lupae, or she-wolves. This was no hidden alleyway brothel. It was central, public, and thriving. Step inside and you'd see stone beds lined the rooms covered with straw, walls painted with explicit frescoes of different sexual acts, each fresco a menu showing what was on offer. A sailor could stumble in from the harbor, point to a picture, and for a few coins be led to a bed. This wasn't the only brothel. Pompeii had dozens. Taverns, bathhouses, and inns doubled as houses of pleasure. Sex wasn't on the margins, it was in the center of society. And the women? Some were slaves, bought and sold to serve in the brothels. Others were freed women, earning coin and survival in a world that gave them few choices. Their names, carved into walls by satisfied customers, still survive today. Successa was here. Methe pleases well. Graffiti, not of shame, but of advertisement. Pompeii's brothels reveal something shocking. Lust was not only entertainment, it was commerce, as vital as wine, olives, or trade. Part 3. Lust in the Home. Pompeii's erotic art. Step out of the brothel into the villa of a wealthy citizen, and the scandal only deepens. The House of the Vetii, one of Pompeii's most famous villas, is filled with erotic art. Here, frescoes show gods and mortals in intimate acts. One wall shows Priapus, the god of fertility, weighing his oversized phallus against a bag of gold. A bold message. In Pompeii, lust was as valuable as wealth. The art was not crude. It was detailed, colorful, beautiful. Eroticism was not hidden behind bedroom doors. It was displayed in dining rooms, courtyards, even gardens. Guests eating dinner would look upon frescoes of couples in embrace. Families lived surrounded by erotic symbols, teaching children that desire was as natural as eating or drinking. Archaeologists in the 18th century were so scandalized that they locked these pieces away in a secret cabinet in Naples, a collection only mature gentlemen were allowed to see. But for Pompeians, this was everyday decoration. Erotic art was not perversion, it was aesthetic.
Part 4. The Cult of Desire. Forbidden Rites. If Pompeii's art and brothels shocked the world, its sacred cults pushed indulgence to the next level. Pompeii was home to the cult of Venus, goddess of love and attraction. Her temple was lavish, her worshippers many. But even more provocative was the cult of Bacchus. Bacchus, the god of wine and ecstasy, inspired festivals of excess known as Bacchanalia. Ancient writers described these secret rites: nights of wild drinking, music and dancing, masks, torches, and worshippers surrendering to ecstatic celebration. Whispers even spoke of moments when all boundaries faded and desire reigned supreme. In Pompeii, these cults were not hidden, they were celebrated. The Temple of Isis shows how Egyptian gods of fertility were also embraced, blending cultures into a city of spiritual and sensual indulgence. To the Pompeians, the body was sacred, pleasure was devotion, and indulgence was divine. Pompeii spoke not only through art, but through words scratched onto walls. Over 11,000 graffiti inscriptions have been discovered, many of them explicit, scandalous, and lust-filled. On one tavern wall, "I screwed the barmaid." On another, "Take your pleasure here, traveler, for only a coin." And in the brothel, "Floronia satisfied many men in this bed." These are not polished poems. They are raw, everyday confessions, proof that Pompeii's people were unashamed of their lust. Imagine walking down a street reading graffiti that today would be considered vulgar, but in Pompeii, it was casual, a public diary of desire. Part 6. The Day of Fire. But lust could not save Pompeii from fire. On August 24, 79 CE, Mount Vesuvius erupted. First came the tremors, then the column of ash rising miles into the sky. Within hours, roofs collapsed under the weight of falling pumice. Streets filled with choking smoke. People fled, some with treasures, others with lovers. And then came the pyroclastic surge, a wall of fire and gas that swallowed the city whole. In an instant, Pompeii's lustful world was turned to stone, bodies preserved in final poses, a couple huddled together, a man clutching a lover, a woman shielding her child. The frescoes, the brothels, the graffiti, all buried, sealed in ash. The city of lust was silenced. Part 7. Rediscovery. Scandal reborn. When Pompeii was rediscovered in the 18th century, the scandal shocked Europe. Noblemen, scholars, and kings walked among frescoes of erotic acts, brothels with menus of lust, and statues of Priapus. For the conservative societies of the time, it was too much. Many pieces were locked away. Guides covered certain walls when women visited. Pompeii became a city too scandalous to show. And yet, people could not look away. The lost city became famous not just for its tragedy, but for its lust. A city where every wall, every street, Every carving screamed one truth, that desire ruled as strongly as emperors. Conclusion: the eternal city of lust. Pompeii is not just ruins, it is a mirror, showing us a world without shame, where bread and lust were equal, where gods of fertility ruled alongside gods of war, where sex was not hidden but celebrated. Some called it sin, some called it punishment. But perhaps Pompeii was simply honest, a city that embraced desire as part of life and was immortalized, scandal and all, in stone. And that is why Pompeii remains the lost city of lust.